Imagine knowing exactly when you will die. The day, the hour, the minute. And someone walks up to you and asks, "What do you want to eat?" Every year, death row inmates across the world are granted one final request: their last meal before execution. Some ask for simple comfort food, others make bizarre demands, and some refuse to eat at all. Today, we're going inside the final hours of some of the world's most infamous criminals, and the last meals they chose before they took their final breath. Stay until the end, because the last story will genuinely shock you. The tradition of a last meal goes back centuries. It was originally a symbolic gesture, a way for society to show mercy, even to those it had condemned to die. In the United States alone, over 1,500 executions have taken place since 1976. Each of those inmates was offered a final meal. What people choose to eat in their final moments tells us something deeply human. About comfort, about memory, about who they really were beneath the crimes. These are their stories. John Wayne Gacy. John Wayne Gacy was one of America's most terrifying serial killers. Known as the Killer Clown, he was convicted of murdering 33 young men and boys in Chicago during the 1970s, burying most of them beneath his own house. On May 10, 1994, John Wayne Gacy was scheduled to die by lethal injection. For his last meal, he requested a bucket of KFC fried chicken, a dozen deep-fried shrimp, French fries, fresh strawberries, and a Diet Coke. Not the meal of a monster, the meal of an ordinary man. He ate every last bite. Then he was executed at 12:58 a.m. His final words were, "Kiss my ass." Even at the end, no remorse. Timothy McVeigh. On April 19, 1995, Timothy McVeigh detonated a truck bomb outside a federal building in Oklahoma City, killing 168 people, including 19 children. It remains the deadliest domestic terrorist attack in American history. When the day of his execution arrived in June 2001, McVeigh was asked what he wanted for his last meal. He chose 2 pints of mint chocolate chip ice cream. Nothing else. No grand feast, no symbolic request. Just ice cream. Was it a calculated act of defiance, refusing to give the moment any drama? Or was it simply his favorite thing? We will never know. He was executed by lethal injection on June 11, 2001. 168 families finally had their closure. Victor Feguer. Victor Feguer was executed in Iowa in 1963 for kidnapping and murdering a doctor. His last meal request was perhaps the most unusual in recorded history. He asked for a single olive, with the pit still inside. Just one olive. He told prison officials he hoped an olive tree would grow from his grave, as a symbol of peace and new life. Victor Feguer was hanged on March 15, 1963. He was buried with the olive pit still in his pocket. Whether that tree ever grew, nobody knows. Lawrence Russell Brewer. Now this story changed history. Lawrence Russell Brewer was convicted of one of the most horrific hate crimes in American history: the 1998 murder of James Byard Jr., a black man who was chained to a truck and dragged to his death in Texas simply because of the color of his skin. For his last meal in 2011, Brewer requested an enormous feast: 2 chicken steaks, a triple meat bacon cheeseburger, a meat lover's pizza, a bowl of okra, 3 fajitas, a pint of ice cream, and a slab of peanut butter fudge. The meal was prepared and delivered. Then Brewer announced he wasn't hungry, he didn't eat a single thing. The state of Texas was furious. That very year, Texas became the first state in America to officially abolish the last meal tradition. For death row inmates, one man's petty act of defiance ended a centuries-old practice. Lawrence Russell Brewer was executed on September 21, 2011. While most of these stories come from America, death row exists across the world, and the experience is very different. In many African countries, inmates on death row wait for years, sometimes decades. In overcrowded, underfunded prisons with no certainty of when or if their sentence will be carried out. In Nigeria, Ghana, Uganda, and others, the death penalty still exists on paper. But executions are rare and often unannounced. There are no last meal traditions, no formal final requests. Many inmates simply disappear into the system. Their stories are rarely told. Their final moments unknown. Perhaps that is the most sorrowful chain of all. These men committed some of the most unforgivable acts in human history. Yet in their final moments, they were still human. Choosing comfort food, making strange symbolic requests, refusing to eat, refusing to speak. The last meal is a strange mirror. It shows us who a person really is. When there is nothing left to hide. Which story shocked you the most? Let me know in the comments. And if you're new here, Sorrow's Chains is where we explore the darkest, most emotional true stories the world has to offer. Subscribe so you never miss one. I'll see you in the next one.